This week on Another Movie Podcast, we talk about all things Ant-Man and Wasp.
We talk about Jared Leto potentially jumping ship to the MCU.
And Sacha Baron-Cohen finally comes out of the woods and tells us about a new project he's working on. Ooh, fancy. Hello and welcome back to Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And after a small break, we are back to talk all things movies, and especially the release of the new Marvel film this week, Ant-Man and Wasp.
Well, we had to come back and talk about it because Marvel drives those big trucks of money to our house.
Yes.
Because they know they get all the attention from this podcast.
Yes, all of our minor audience goes out and sees the movies after we talk about
Unless we can them, because we just don't wildly praise everything. We have standards.
Well, I don't think we've canned a Marvel film yet, to be honest.
No, we've had disagreements about the quality, but I think we've been probably above 50% for all of them.
DC, yes, but Marvel, no.
Well, that's because DC aren't dropping those big wads of cash at our house.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Get onto it.
All right, well, as we said on the top of the show, this week is the release of Ant-Man and Wasp. We'll give a quick, brief outline of what we thought of the film and then talk about all the spoiler stuff later on in the show. Now, I'm always quite excited to see what you think because I don't think this one won't necessarily be on the level as what we were expecting, you know, from the last, say, 3 Marvel films.
Yeah, the Ant-Man films, both of them, I think, sort of operate, even though they're in the same universe, operate on a same, different kind of level than what we've been seeing. They don't seem to have the same, been on the same trajectory as the main sort of plot line. And the first film got a little bit of blowback, but I really dug it. And this film is probably in a similar space. It certainly has issues that we'll talk about later on in the podcast. But I think the thing that holds this film together for me is the characters and the actors playing them. The cast is really good, and they sort of help to make up for some of the what I thought were pacing and plot issues.
Yeah, no, I agree. The biggest problem that it has is that it has to follow Black Panther. It has to follow Avengers Infinity War. And because those films are so serious and there's so much going on in those set pieces, I was kind of hoping that this would have more of a tie-in to those. Like it would be another, not a direct sequel, but a sequel story-wise as to what we've been getting in those 2 films. And it probably wasn't. So that's probably the little bit of a letdown there. But as you said, the first one kind of not acts as a standalone, but it kind of is a standalone story within the MCU. And this one basically follows that storyline of the first one. I really enjoyed the first one, and I don't think this one is any better or any worse than the first one. As you said, Paul Rudd and Eugenia Levy, is that how you say her name? Evangeline. Yeah. And Michael Douglas were spot on in this film. I thought they were really cool. You got the likes of Lawrence Fishburne joining this film. And I actually took my son to watch this. Well, I took both of them, actually. And my older son made a good point. He was like, who is the villain in this piece? And I'm like, yeah, you're right, really, because there wasn't really a villain.
That's one of the issues I have with it, actually, which we'll talk about later on.
Like the main protagonist in the film or the trailers that we see, this ghost character, you think that she's going to be the villain. But realistically, you know, if you have a look at her side, without looking at her side of the story, you know, she's not really a villain at all. So, you know, he's only 8 years old and he can see, you know, that there was a flaw. But, you know, maybe we're living in times now where we don't have to have this big, massive villain.
Look, I don't think you do have to have a big villain, but I think the way that this film played it out was that there was a villain. So there was a disconnect between what was actually going on. Like the stakes were like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. But but what was going on with the characters was at odds with that. So I think that was one of the issues.
Yeah. I had a few issues with the timeline as well and, you know, how things panned out. But we'll talk about later on in the film. But as you can tell by our first reactions is that, you know, if you enjoyed the first one, you're definitely going to enjoy the second one. But don't expect it to be this big, massive link between Avengers Infinity War and the next Avengers film or even a Captain Marvel film.
It's not an epic film like the other ones. It's just a good sort of comedy romp.
Yeah, it's like it's basically a filler. Yeah. It's basically so they can fill the next year. We've got Ant-Man and Wasp, then we've got Captain Marvel, which I presume maybe the late part of the Captain Marvel film will have heavy ties back into Avengers Infinity War,
Yes.
even though because we're getting it set in the 90s. I think later on in the film or even the mid-credit scene, we'll definitely have a direct link to that, as we saw at the end credit scenes of Infinity War. But as I said, definitely go out and watch it if you're a fan of the first one. And of course, we're 19 films now into this MCU, and this one still fills in a very nice gap in that storyline.
Cool.
All right, kick into the movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, as we said from the top of the show, this was a surprise move for me because last week, or the last podcast, we spoke about Jared Leto getting his own standalone Joker film.
Yeah.
Which, as I said during the time, I think I was the only one excited about.
Even Jared Leto wasn't kidding. Really? I didn't really like that last Joker. That was you idiot.
But news this week comes is that now he's joining Sony's Marvel Universe as Morbius, the vampire. Which
I kind of like. I think Morbius is, as opposed to the Venom standalone film that they're doing, you can do a Morbius film just by itself. For those who don't know, Morbius is a character who, in classic Spider-Man style, was created by a science experiment gone wrong. He was trying to cure a blood disease that he has and accidentally gives himself the powers of a vampire. Which, is hackneyed in the 60s when... Oh, actually, it came out in the 70s, I think. But you can do that as a standalone film. You don't need Spider-Man for that to happen.
Yeah. No, I'm all aboard. But as I said, it's just strange that he's doing a DC and a Marvel film basically at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I guess it's like... I was thinking about this watching Ant-Man last night. It's the same as Lawrence Fishburne. People are jumping ship. They want to get onto that Marvel train.
Yeah, I suppose, but he's definitely jumping on the wrong Marvel train because he's going on Sony's Marvel train, which I think is going to be a massive train wreck come the end of Venom. So that's my opinion. But no, it's going to be interesting. I definitely can see him playing it. I think that guy can basically do anything. If you haven't seen the film where he played the transgender character. Which the name escapes me now. Yeah, Dallas Buyers Club. He was fantastic in that. So
he's a great actor.
No, he is. And I don't think he was given much time in Suicide Squad, so I'd definitely like to see him take a big chunk out of this Morbius character. Give him more screen time.
Take a big bite out of it, would you say?
No.
No? Too much?
No. We're on that level again.
All right. I wonder.
You can definitely tell that you're a dad because the dad jokes are coming thick and fast on this podcast.
They're getting bad. All right. It'd be interesting to see if they try and tie this in with the Venom film. Are they, as you said, trying to create their own dark universe?
Yes, I think so.
Well, yeah. Maybe that might go as well as the other dark universe.
Yeah, look, Sony are trying, and at least they're doing it the right way. At least they're introducing characters slowly.
That's true.
Not like DC. So yeah. How this plays into the whole world they're building, I don't know, but I'm interested to find out.
Me too.
That's for sure. All right. Well, with the release of Ant-Man and Wasp, everyone's out doing press at the moment, and there's rumors circulating that we could be seeing a 3-hour version of Infinity War when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD. Apparently, there's a 30-minute Thanos backstory that could be added back into the film, not just left as deleted scenes. And I'm super excited about this. I said already, Thanos was so fucking good in this movie. Yeah. And to see more of his story, apparently it focuses a lot more on him and his love for Gamora. To have that back into the film, and then obviously we know the fate of Gamora and what he has to do. It'll just give more weight to that scene, I reckon. So fingers crossed this is more than just a rumor, that it is the real deal. Whether it'll come out on the initial release of the Blu-ray or sometimes they do like a special version to cash in on more money later on down the track. I don't know, but fingers crossed this happens.
Look, I'm excited, but I made the mistake. I actually pre-ordered Infinity War yesterday on iTunes. So now I'm like, what? Now, am I not going to get this extra time? To be honest, I don't think the film needed it. I got the relationship just in what they showed in the film, but I'm just keen to see what else they put in there. I would actually like to see less of his relationship with the Gamora, because I think that was well established. I'd like to see more of his initial steps to becoming the Mad Titan. Those like Thanos, the early years. That's kind of what I want to see.
Could be its own spin-off TV show. Thanos, the early years. Yeah, I like it.
A zany buddy cop comedy.
It's true. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like, I don't know if you remember the 80s TV show Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
I'm thinking more of that line. Maybe he can buddy up with someone on Earth, and he can just be like the Balky character. He'd just be like this fish out of water character.
Yes, that would be so good.
Maybe that's why he hates Earthlings so much, and he wants to get rid of half the population.
Well, the whole series is him trying to kill half the population, and the other guy trying to stop it. Like, their friends are like, "Stop trying to kill everybody." He's like, "Oh, you got me this time."
Speaking of Thanos and halving the population, I saw yesterday this article that there's been a Thanos Reddit thread.
I was going to bring this up, yeah.
Yeah. And apparently they wiped off half of the users.
Well, they're going to.
How fucking cool is that?
It's pretty great. They started. The users were asking for it. There's a subreddit called Thanos Did Nothing Wrong, and basically the whole subreddit is people dedicated to saying how Thanos is actually the hero and he's hard done by and all this kind of thing. And then they're like, yes, we'll do a snap for this subreddit. And there's hundreds of thousands of people on this subreddit, so half of them are going to get banned.
That is so brilliant. It's so damn funny. And I like, who the hell would think of that? As I said, Reddit is this amazing place that if you've got like hours upon hours, you can just get lost in it. So I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah, they're very good. I mean, most of them have a lot of time to think about this stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, well, this is true. A lot of keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
All right, well, we know already that Tom Cruise is filming the sequel to Top Gun, and a major character and actor has been cast in this film. Miles Teller is going to play the son of Goose, who was Tom Cruise's partner in the first film that dies tragically. He's going to play his son in this film.
Yeah, which I can totally see. I think that works. I think he's a solid actor for all the flack that he gets.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know if you've been following, like they've been putting a hell of a lot of press out there, especially on Facebook, in regards to all the stunts that Tom Cruise has been doing himself for the new Mission Impossible film.
Yeah.
Some of them look absolutely insane. So I wasn't interested in seeing this film at all, but after seeing all these clips, I'm really keen on seeing it. So they could bring that type of stunt work into this Top Gun film, which by the sounds of it, he's pretty, hardcore about, because he wants to do everything. If we can get him back in the cockpit doing some stuff, that would be really cool, and especially with Miles Teller beside him. This guy's a fantastic actor. I reckon it's a really good addition to the cast. It's
not going to be that kind of movie, though, surely. Isn't it going to be more of a drama action? But
you never know.
He's not leaping between fighter jets, is he?
No, well, you wouldn't think so.
No.
But in saying that, Tom Cruise can do anything, apparently, so why not?
Look, that's probably true. He'll be walking across water by the end of the film.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, going from one good casting to another really bad one, in my opinion, because I love this actor so much. Apparently, Idris Elba, his voice alone can make my panties drop. Apparently, will be the villain in the new Fast and Furious spin-off featuring Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham.
Yeah, look, that's fine. I mean, if Idris Elba wasn't willing to take these kind of roles, we wouldn't have had him as Heimdall, I can't imagine.
Yeah, but he's so much better than these roles. Like, he was in that Stephen King, the Dark Tower film, which flopped. He was in this other one as well that flopped. And now he's jumping aboard this one. Like, as I said, he should be doing films that come out later in the year when those dramas and the Academy Award teaser films come out. Like, he shouldn't be doing these popcorn trash films, in my opinion.
I don't think they know what to do with him in the States. Like, in England, he's got all manner of, dramatic role under his belt. But they just can't seem to... They don't have a space for him in the American cinema landscape.
No, I agree. Like, he was in that film Molly's Game that came out earlier this year, late last year, and he was really good in that, and that was a drama piece. And I want to see more in those films because if you ever watched the TV show called The Wire, he was fantastic in that. And that's what I want to see him do rather than, a Fast and Furious films, which I've spoken about a lot and I just hate them so much. So that's probably why I don't necessarily want him to see him go down that realm.
Yeah, okay. I don't, to be honest, I don't watch them, but look, they fill a niche. The kids that I teach love them. So look, go crazy. Shine on, you crazy Fast and Furious diamond.
Yeah, good luck, Idris. You're going to need it. All right, well, the last time I spoke about this new Watchmen TV series, I spoke about some actors joining the cast, and all I got was crickets on the other end because you had no idea who I was talking about. So fingers crossed you know who this actor is. Jeremy Irons.
Oh, yeah, I loved him in Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes, it's sad that that's the first thing that you think of Jeremy Irons.
That and Genuine Class.
Yes, but apparently he is joining the cast of this TV show, which is quite surprising because all the names that they've mentioned so far are a lot older actors. So it's going to be interesting to see where this fits into everything, but they've given us some more details. Apparently this original story centers around a murder mystery before unfolding into a planet-altering conspiracy that ultimately asks where the line is drawn between heroes and villains.
Which is basically the plot of the original series.
Yes. So I do like that last part because basically that's where Watchmen was, ultimately asking where the line was between the hero and villain. So I like that part. So as you said, maybe believe it is basically the same story in a modern setting. I don't know. They're not really giving us much love, but that could be cool.
I've got a theory, though. With all these older characters being cast, one way they could try and modernize is take the setting out of the city and put it into a retirement home. Imagine all of Watchmen taking place in, like, Shady Acres Retirement Village.
Well, we've got Jeremy Irons, Lou Gossett Jr., and Don Johnson. They are all 50 plus, even 60 plus, so it could be taking place in a retirement village.
Look, you heard it here first, folks.
I hope they're not the ones suiting up and going out.
Well, that's the first half an hour of the film of them trying to get their suits on because it's very difficult these days. It's going to be a Bubba Hotep style film.
Yes, very true. All right, one of my all-time favorite comedians is Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. And he's been pretty quiet of late. He hasn't really done much. But he's talks now that he is doing a TV show with Netflix. He actually did a stand-up special on Netflix about a month and a half ago. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. This guy, I personally love him. His comedy is just so black that you shouldn't be laughing, but it's definitely funny. But give him a chance. Apparently, he's doing a new show where he stars as a guy named Tony who thinks he has the perfect life, but after his wife Lisa suddenly dies and he contemplates suicide, but instead he decides to live long enough and punish the world by saying and doing whatever he likes from now on. I don't know about you, but I've definitely had those thoughts before. Not the suicide thoughts, but the thoughts of just saying and doing exactly whatever you want, not worrying about the consequences.
Yeah.
So to have Ricky Gervais do something like that, which he basically does in his stand-up, and we saw it at when he did the Golden Globes so many times, he just doesn't give a fuck. So he's willing to say and do whatever he likes in the realm of comedy. So I think this could be really cool.
I think it could be more in the realm of that film where he discovered the invention of lying. Like this kind of one idea that doesn't really stretch out to an entire... And this one's a series.
Yes.
So, look, I don't know. I think this could go down more of that road. I love Ricky Gervais as well, but this just doesn't seem like a plot. It seems like a sketch rather than a whole... Something that's going to take a whole series to tell. Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's only a brief synopsis of what we got. And I agree that movie wasn't his best, and I don't think he's had any good movies, to be honest. His best work is Lies in TV.
Yeah.
Like he even did a TV show called Derek. I don't know if you ever watched that one, where he plays a man with learning disabilities who lives in a retirement home. And that doesn't necessarily sound funny at all. But he adds a lot of depth to everything that he's doing, and there was a lot of depth to that character, and it was quite funny and humorous, even though it probably shouldn't have been, and it's not at the expense of the elderly or the learning disabilities. So he is he is very smart in what he does. So I will trust anything that he does, and for me that sounds pretty cool.
Look, I'll check it out. Like I said, you, I'm a big fan, and we'll see. We're on opposite sides of the fence with this one.
Yes, I agree. I don't know if this was your genre, and you probably might have been a little young when it came out. I don't know if you caught wave of the Sopranos when it was out.
Look, I just got around to watching The Godfather this year because I was always like, crime's not really my thing. So give me a chance to catch up. I'll get to The Sopranos one day.
Well, basically, The Sopranos led the way for TV drama that we've got now. Back then, when you were on television, you were basically in a dead zone. No one was really going to television, and no one was really telling the stories of what The Sopranos did on television. So this TV show basically paved the way to all the dramas that we're seeing now, even the likes of, say, Game of Thrones, for example. All of that could be pegged back all the way to The Sopranos as well. There was two big ones that came out in the 90s, Sex and the City and Sopranos. Those two basically led the way for TV drama. And now they're doing a prequel movie to this. The original creative team are involved. But for some reason, they've landed the guy who directed Thor, The Dark World, and Terminator Genesis to direct this film. Alan Taylor. Now, this guy has done a lot of TV work. Like, his Game of Thrones episodes are as good as any. But in terms of movies, he's done a lot of shit ones. So I don't know why he's basically been brought onto this. The story basically is based around the 1960s when riots swept through New Jersey and conflicts between African American and Italian residents were at its worst. So going by that storyline, having the guy who directed Terminator Genesis and Thor: The Dark World doesn't exactly leap off the page.
Well, look, it's got to be his TV work, and I'm sure they've interviewed him and gone for his vision. He might just be a huge fan of the show and know a lot about it, but I agree. His movie work leaves a lot to be desired.
Yes, I agree. So fingers crossed they know what they're doing. As I said, I absolutely love that show. If you haven't watched it, go out and give it a crack. I think there was 9 seasons and 9 seasons of pure gold. You won't be disappointed. Apart from the last episode, which some people think it's one of the greatest endings or one of the worst endings on television. But everything before that is absolutely superb.
Do they do a Roseanne? It's all a dream?
Almost.
Oh, really? Holy crap.
Almost. God. Yeah, it's one of those scenes. I remember watching it, and I thought the video had stopped short. I'm like, hang on. And then I had to quickly jump online to find out, yep, that's exactly what the ending was.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it's one of those where I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Because, as I said, I won't give anything away, but it's just one of those endings where you're just like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
And then, you find out that's basically how the show ended.
All right, well, if you're like me and you haven't seen any of The Sopranos, maybe we'll wait to the prequel movie, watch that, and then jump into the series.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a taste for that, then you can go and watch, I think back in, I think they still had like those really long seasons as well. I don't think they were short seasons. Yeah. So, definitely give it a crack. All right, well, after Ricky Gervais, there's definitely another comedian that I love, and that's Sacha Baron Cohen. This is the man who gave us Ali G to start with. Then we got Borat, and then we got Bruno. And he hasn't really done anything of that realm for a very long time. He got into Hollywood, he got into these films, and basically wasn't doing his own projects until yesterday when on the 4th of July, so maybe not yesterday, a couple of days ago, he put out a tweet that basically teased a new project that he's doing based around Donald Trump. So if you can imagine, the stuff that he's done with Bruno and Borat on a level where he's going out and bagging the president, that could be something special. And then today we got an even bigger reveal that it's actually going to be a Showtime series similar to the Ali G show, where it was a chat show but also had video stunts put in it as well. And that's basically what the format of the show is going to be. Yeah,
I'm really interested to see what this is going to be, because Ali G worked because nobody knew who Sacha Baron Cohen was.
Yes.
Is that going to work? I don't know. I don't see how that's going to play off this time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I was thinking the same thing. But apparently one of the stunts has already been filmed and kind of leaked out. That one segment involves O.J. Simpson and a Las Vegas hotel room. And if you know the story of O.J. Simpson, that's basically how and why he went to jail, because he busted up a hotel room of a guy who was trying to extort him of all his memorabilia. He went in there with a gun in hand and tried to rob it all back. And funny enough, of all things, that's the thing that sent him to jail. So if you have a stunt involving that, whether O.J. Simpson actually knows about it or not, or is into it or not, that could be quite funny. And dangerous at the same time.
Yeah, very much so. Look, I'm keen. Let's say it.
Yeah.
We need more these days.
It's school holidays at the moment, and I'm being bombarded with kids' movies and kids' activities. And one future school holiday film that I will probably be seeing is a new Sonic the Hedgehog film.
You poor bastard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a live action with a animated Sonic. And from all of those that I've seen, some of them are really hit and miss. Like, you get some really good ones, like, say, Peter Rabbit and Paddington, and then you just get some really bad ones like the fucking Smurfs, which I still, to this day, is one of the worst films I've seen in my life. I remember sitting there looking at my clock thinking, how much longer do I have to sit there for this punishment? But anyway, it looks like Jim Carrey is going to be playing the villain, Robotnik, in the new Sonic the Hedgehog film.
You can't get it wrong. We'll have angry internet people at us.
Sorry, Robotnik.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not really down in the Sonic universe.
It also, James Marsden is also already in it. I think he's doing Sonic.
Yeah.
So the cast is pretty good.
Yeah, but he was also in the Easter Bunny film as well, and that was horrible as well. Hop, exactly. So as I said, I think your next few years are going to be filled with these films, and you'll be understanding my pain. So
I'm already laying down the foundation. So Mika's current favorite film is Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Or Batman Forever. Sorry, with Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. So
I was going to say Batman and Robin might have been a bit full on with Two-Face and
So and she loves PJ Masks. So I'm hoping to skip that. I hope she thinks that's these kinds of films are lame. Can I just say, though, I had to look up the writers for this Sonic film, and they have some clankers. 12 Deadly Days, which is a YouTube Red series, or YouTube Red movie, rather, about murders that happen at Christmas time. Transylmania, but it's I don't know, it looks like a terrible film about being vampires. But my favourite amongst their filmography is Hey, Stop Stabbing Me. That's the name of the film. These are the
Those titles alone just scream kids' movies.
Exactly right. And now they're moving on to Sonic the Hedgehog. So look, it's going to be gold one way or the other. Either it's going to be awesome or it's going to be the worst film.
Yes. Either way, I will be watching it. So you can hear my reviews later next year.
Good luck with that.
Yes. One film I will definitely be watching, though, and one that I'm really excited about. The trailer was at the start of Ant-Man and Wasp, and the animation just looks even better on the big screen. We spoke about this film when the trailer came out, and that's the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which focused on the Miles Morales Spider-Man character. We spoke about how the animation looks like a comic book, and now Nick Cage is going to be joining that universe as well.
Yes, Nick Cage coming to the Spider-Man universe. That's awesome.
We know already he's a massive comic book fan. I spoke about him being in the Teen Titans movie that comes out later this year, and now he's jumping on the Marvel train as well. As we don't know what character he's playing, all we know is that he's going to be a voice in this movie.
No, we know he's going to be playing Spider-Man Noir.
Ah, cool.
So for those who don't know, in the because Spider-Man has this, I don't know, out of most comic book characters I know, he seems to just have like alternate versions of himself across different realities. Like that probably just comes from being a really popular comic book character. But Spider-Man Noir is a character from like the 1930s who's like a more of a grim detective style Spider-Man. So I'm really keen to see how this sort of older, hard-boiled Spider-Man will fit in with the wisecracking young Miles Morales. It's going to be awesome.
It's pretty cool because they're building a whole Spider-Man team. We already know from the trailer that Peter Parker Spider-Man is in it. We know that Spider-Gwen is in it.
Yes.
And now we're getting a Spider-Man Noir.
Well, there's at least 3 Spider-Men in it because there's there's the main Spider-Man. I think John Krasinski might be doing that.
Oh, okay.
Then there's the one who comes into their universe, and I think he's the one who kind of mentors a young Morales. Then there's Gwen, and now we know we've got Noir. So there's at least 5 there.
Yeah,
it's pretty exciting. I'm sure there's going to be more. I can't wait.
All I can think of is the toy line and the pop vinyl lines for these now, because they're just going to be Spider-Man cashing in on everything.
I did not even think about that. That is a good point.
Yes. So now my house is going to be filled with Spider-Man toys.
Liev Schreiber's playing the Kingpin in this. I did not know that.
Jeez, it has got a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
All right, cool.
All right, well, that finished up for the movie news. Before we go into the Ant-Man and Wasp, I just want to talk about some films that I've seen since our last break. When we finished the last podcast, I said I was going to watch this horror film at the movies called Hereditary. Now, this film, I got to say, it's like really divided critics. Some people fucking love it, and some people really hate it. And I got to say, I really love this film. Like, it wasn't necessarily a horror film at all. Like, I was sitting through this, and I was basically, I think there was only 5 people in the cinema, so there wasn't much around. And this film just gives you little breadcrumbs throughout the piece until you get to the final act, when all those breadcrumbs start to make a lot of sense. It wasn't necessarily a horror film. It's basically a dysfunctional family that are kind of caught up in this hereditary bloodline. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give too much away, but if you get a chance to watch this film, definitely watch it. It's one of those ones where, as I said before, you're going to really love it or you really hate it. There's just so much depth to it, and I had to go back. I was thinking about this film for at least 3 or 4 days after it, put all the pieces back together. That's how much of a mind fucker it really is. So if you're into those type of films and it's a real thinker, you don't necessarily get everything fed to you on a plate. You got to put all the pieces together yourself. And if you like those type of films, definitely go out and watch that one. It's definitely one to watch. I think you'll enjoy it once you get a chance to watch it.
Fantastic. I've been hearing nothing but good things personally, so I'm keen to see it.
Yes. Another one I watched, which I really loved, was The Incredibles 2. This film is just as good as the first one, and it's so good because it basically picks up exactly where the last one finished. So you can literally watch them back to back, and it just makes one big movie. So if you're a fan of the first one, definitely go out and watch that one. And if you got kids as well, they'll definitely love it. A real major disappointment for me was Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom. This one basically just screamed of they kind of jumped the shark again when they did with part 2 and 3 of Jurassic Park. Colin Trevorrow now basically is just a shit kicker. There's a reason why this guy was kicked off, the third Star Wars film, because I think he was just a flash in the pan when the first Jurassic World came out. His second film, Love Henry or whatever it was, or The Book of Henry, was an absolute flop. And realistically, I'm disappointed that this film is going to make over $1 billion because it does not deserve to make that type of money. There's so many other better films out there that don't make half as much as money as that. And the shit part is because it's made so much movie, we're going to get another film from basically the same creative team. Colin Trevorrow said already that he's working on the third one. And it's just a major disappointment. So hopefully they look at, the backlash, the disappointment, and hopefully they can try and rectify that. But the way they finished it off, it just looks like it's going to be another shit film, to be honest. So that one was really disappointing for me. Did you take your boys to see that? No, I watched that one by myself.
I'd be really interested to know what the younger folks think, because maybe it's more geared toward them. Because I just hate, because, just remember watching the original Jurassic Park and being blown away as a kid. But I still think it holds up. But anyway, so maybe these new films to young people are blowing their minds? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. As I said, I think people just love the Jurassic World so much, the first one, that they wanted to go and see the next ones. But as I said, it was really disappointing. But 2 smaller films that I want to quickly mention, a comedy called Blockers, Cock Blockers, basically. It's called, it's about the 3 parents who try to stop their 3 girls from having sex on prom night. That's definitely worth a watch.
With John Cena?
Yes, with John Cena, which he was quite funny in this. So it's quite a different role than what you're used to seeing him if you're a fan of wrestling. And another film that I watched with my wife and I wasn't really expecting to enjoy is a film called Love, Simon. It's basically a new age kind of John Hughes-esque film about a teenage boy coming out as a gay man and falling in love with another man. So that film is definitely worth a watch. You can tell it's very now. It's very cool that we've kind of moved on from the stigma, and then they can actually make films like this, and they're actually very good. So good on them for really taking a chance on this one and having a gay teenage comedy drama hit the mainstream.
Yeah, I think I've heard again very good things about this film as well. So positive.
Yes. All right. Well, as we said off the top, we gave our spoiler-free review. Now we'll go into a little spoiler-heavy discussion about the film. If you haven't gone out and seen it, press pause. We'll wait for you. Come back and hit play. All right. As we said off the top, if you're a fan of the first one, you'll definitely love the second one. But if you're expecting this to be a sequel to Avengers Infinity War, it definitely isn't.
No, it is not. I mean, we will just bust out the mid-credit scene. Or, actually, I just want to say, if you haven't seen this yet, don't bother waiting around for the end of the credit scene. Stick for the mid-credit scene, but the end credit scene, I waited the whole time to see an ant playing drums. I was like, that was not worth it.
Yeah, but it was cool that there was, like, I love the fact that they panned across the TV. The signal from the TV was gone. There was, like, radio silence.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you can kind of tell that the Thanos snap, had affected a lot more than what we'd seen already in Avengers Infinity War.
Didn't take the ant, though. The ant remained, so he survived the snap. But the mid-credit scene where it takes, Michelle Pfeiffer just got back to the world and suddenly she's gone again. And it took Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly as well, which is, and like, so what's going to happen to poor Ant-Man now?
Yes, well, as he's basically, but they sent him into the quantum realm again to collect some healing power who could help fix the villain of the piece, Ghost. And Thanos snaps happens, and he's basically stuck in the Phantom Realm. So he was supposed to play a really key part in Avengers Infinity War. We've seen set photos of him fighting alongside the Avengers, especially Captain America and Hulk. So how he gets out of the Phantom Realm again, it's very cool. I'm not sure.
I mean, they could easily just jimmy that and he gets out in 2 seconds. Like, he's got a button on his suit, which is like his emergency get out button. I could just see them doing that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see how they do it.
This makes me a little bit sad, though, because one of the things that I really liked about this film was the Wasp. She was really cool in this film, both as the Wasp and just as Hope. I thought this film was a real step up for her character. She had great chemistry with Ant-Man, but also when she was with Michael Pena for just a couple of short scenes. She was fantastic. Yeah. And now we're not going to see her in Infinity War, and that makes me really sad. Yeah.
No, and my apologies, it was the Quantum Realm, not the Phantom Realm that I was saying.
Too much Superman for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought she was probably the standout of the film. You can tell that they're really putting a lot of energy and thought into these female characters now in the MCU. Like we saw it with Valkyrie. We're seeing a lot more with Scarlet Witch and Black Widow. So I really hope that they can have either a standalone film or they can have like their own mashup film where all of them come together.
How cool would that be? Like Black Widow, the Wasp, Scarlet Witch. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I would say she really stepped up in this film. But I don't think she she and Ant-Man really shared the spotlight. Like, I don't think she overshadowed or, the whole film was about she can do this stuff because she's a woman. She was just another character who just had awesome stuff to do. So I thought the writers did a fantastic job of that balancing act.
Yeah, absolutely. And, she was more like the straight man to Ant-Man or to Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, which worked really well. She was badass as well. She had all these she's got wings, she's got blasters in her suit. And, she wasn't basically the victim that we kind of see these female characters fall into of past. No. She didn't need Ant-Man to come and save her. She basically came to save him, which was even better. So, as I said, they're putting a lot more of these characters to use rather than just be the damsel in distress and rather just be, the woman in the fridge?
She wasn't fridged at all, which is good.
She wasn't fridged like we saw in the Deadpool 2, which was one of the major complaints in that film.
But she had the arc of wanting to find her mother again. Ant-Man had his arc of wanting to make amends, but also not lose contact with his daughter. And that relationship between him and his daughter is just so friggin' charming. Like,
yes,
the actress who plays her, Abby Ryder Forston. It's just awesome, and the two of them together are just fantastic. I think Paul Rudd's such a charmer, and it just works so well. Like, that dynamic really sold the film for me.
Yes, and I love the fact that they reference back to Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
The reason why he wasn't out fighting with the Avengers is because he's been on house arrest for 2 years. And the issue that I had with the timeline that I mentioned earlier is that, especially the mid-credit scene, is that basically I think they're in San Francisco. So while everything that was happening in New York, surely they would have known about it and they would have seen it on TV. But they're on top of a roof going back into the quantum realm to get some energy dust.
Point,
surely they would have triggered like, holy shit, something is about to go down. Surely they couldn't have been that oblivious. Surely they would have been watching the news or something. That, you know, because when Thanos snaps his finger, that's still a fair way before the actual Battle of New York started. So surely,
it was that would have been after the Battle for New York. So that New York would have happened because everything was, at that point was in Wakanda, wasn't it? Where they wouldn't have known. Yeah,
but the attack on New York still happened before the Battle of Wakanda, so surely he would have been alerted to something like that. But they're like, la 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 la, we'll just go back into the quantum realm, and that was probably my biggest issue of the timeline. And maybe I'm overthinking it a bit too much, but I would have thought that, you know, holy shit, the world's under attack. Shit, we better get to New York. Help the rest of them.
Maybe like not this time, Scott. All right, you're not getting put back in to jail.
Yes. I don't think if there was enough action in this film as well. I thought, not that it was very talky, but I don't think that we had those really cool big set pieces that we come to expect. I know that, you know, Ant-Man was on house arrest, so he couldn't really go out and do much, but he still got out anyway. I think there wasn't enough action set pieces, not necessarily for me, but more for my kids to keep them involved. My oldest one loved it. I took my 4-year-old to it, and he wasn't that thrilled. I had to give him my phone for half the film until the last the third act basically came on. Then he was interested. So that was his first Marvel film. That might be his last one for a while.
You keep ruining your children.
Yeah,
I'm calling VHS.
But at least this time I had to look at the rating. It was PG. I didn't look at the rating when I took Ryder to Fantastic Four, which was M. So At least I've learned from that mistake. So as I said, I don't think there was enough big action set pieces.
Yeah.
I can understand why. But yeah, as I said, it just didn't blow me away. Like, it wasn't, because Ant-Man was so fresh and so different to everything else. I really enjoyed it. But because this one was kind of the same. Yeah, as I said, I was just walking away thinking, that was good, rather than when I watched Ant-Man, I'm like, that was so cool. I really love that.
I will say, I'm really glad they've leaned into the whole like shrinking, growing thing. Because at first I was like, it's too much. Like, you know, shrinking the building and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you know, it's too much. It seems it's completely divorced from reality. But the fact that they just lean so heavily into it, actually, like, I buy it more. And I dig that, like, that's their thing. They just grow things and they shrink things. But then it's like, all right, let's just see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like, I hate the trope that they have in superhero films when it's like, well, his powers just don't work now, or her powers just don't work now for a little bit. And they're kind of playing with that with the Ant-Man character, because he's got a new suit, but it's not as good as the last one for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, that, for me, is lazy, and it's just have their suit work as it should work. Like, or have their powers work, like, find some other complication, because we go there to see them use their powers, so don't take away their powers.
Yes. And one thing, again, probably overthinking it, but every time they shrink and put the building back up, how the fuck do they get power and water?
I thought that when I was watching it, but I'm like, sure, if he's got portals to the quantum realm, he's got, you know, some kind of solar energy water evaporator thing.
Because there's one scene, he just puts his building up in the middle of the forest, and we've got full power. Like, how the fuck's he getting this power? Has he got generators somewhere?
Well, and the house at the end with on the beach.
That's right.
I thought the same thing. Yeah. And I'm like, they must have generators or something.
Yeah.
It's a little Stark arc reactor.
Yeah, I think I'm just overthinking it, but probably that's where my mind was at the time. I wasn't more that into the story. I was just more like, how's he powering this building?
All right. So one thing that also really worked for this film was some of the minor characters, like Randall Park as the FBI agent.
Yeah, he was very funny.
The end bit was like, did you want to go out for dinner? No, that's fine. That was fantastic. Yeah. Walton Goggins as the Sonny character, who I thought that the character was kind of underused, but he's just always fantastic.
Yeah, he is. I love him in basically everything that he does. There was a TV show that he was in, and he plays a transgender character called Sons of Anarchy. He was brilliant in that. There's this really funny TV show on HBO, I think it is, called Vice Principals, with Danny McBride. He's brilliant in that. And what was the other one that I was thinking of? Oh, and of course he was in The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's film.
Yeah,
he was very good in that too. So he's just got that he's got that awesome voice. He's got that awesome demeanor as well. He's just so he could just be so sleazy and so cunning and so brilliant at the same time. So I agree with you. I think he's a very good actor.
But the places where the characters that were underdeveloped or underwhelming to me were Ghost or Ava.
Yeah.
She's a great actor, but I just think there was the character just came across as very sort of whiny and petulant.
Yeah. And very one-dimensional as well.
And it was the kind of plot where it would if they just sat down and chatted for 5 minutes, they could have sorted everything out. It could have just been, look, we'll get her out, we'll work together, we'll get her out of the quantum zone, and then we'll work on this. But the whole thing breaks down just because people aren't acting like people, and that for me is very sort of cheap drama. And Lawrence Fishburne as Goliath was he spends half the movie pressed up against the wall being attacked by ants. His role was completely utilized and kind of wasted. I think they had bigger plans for him, but then they're like, oh, we just kind of need him out of the film for a little while.
This is the problem that they had earlier on. I thought they kind of overcome that with the likes of Killmonger, even Zemo in Civil War, Thanos in Infinity War. But they kind of gone backwards with that one. And as you said, they had a lot to go through, and they probably didn't have time to give depth to her. And you're right. I didn't even think of what you just said, but you're right. If they just sat down and talk about it, if they made a deal, how about we just get her out, and then we're more than happy to go back in and get the stuff that you need. It all makes sense. You're right.
And it's just a real shame because she looked awesome, and when I saw it in the trailers, I'm like, I can't wait for this character. And they were trying something. They didn't want to just have a generic. They wanted to make her sympathetic. But I didn't have any sympathy for her. And when they had them knocked out in the room, and then she just explains her entire backstory to them, I was like, this is the laziest writing I've seen in ages. It was just I don't know if they ran out of time in the end or what, but it was very poor.
I basically think all the talent that they have at Marvel is still working on the Avengers. So they basically gave this to the B team and said, here, just pump out a movie for you. But fingers crossed that they get it right with Captain Marvel. As I said, this film is basically just like a stepping stone for me. It was good. Yes. Now let's move on to the next one.
I agree. And it was good because the characterization was good. The interplay between the characters was awesome. The main cast, everyone is so charismatic. I was reading about this today. Evangeline Lilly had quit acting. And she only came back for The Hobbit because Peter Jackson was looking for her to play this role. So even though the Hobbit series is terrible, thank God it got her back into acting.
Yeah.
Because she's just, I think she fits into this film so perfectly with Paul Rudd.
No, I agree. And she's a fantastic actor. I don't know if you ever watched Lost, but she was brilliant in that. And as you said, she was brilliant in this. So, but as I said, I think the problem is because everyone wants to know what the fuck is going to happen in the next Avengers film. That we're just basically looking for we're just looking for those moments in these films that are going to take us into that, where this basically only had one, which was the mid-credit scene, and realistically that was probably the only thing I was excited about when I left the film.
I completely agree.
So that's why I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel, because as we said, this is a backstory in the 90s, so we know we're just going to basically learn about this character rather than have to worry about how she fits into the next one, which I think they'll explain, late in the piece.
But we've got to wait months. It's going to be so long for Captain Marvel.
March
oh my God, I can't.
But I think Comic-Con is next week or the week after, so we hopefully should get, a really good look at that. I'm hoping we should get a look at Aquaman as well. Yeah. And a lot of... We've been doing this show long enough that I know when your voice goes high, it's just no, he's not interested at all. So as I said, it's always a Sunday when everything drops for us. So I'll be looking forward to that Sunday because you and I basically message each other. Oh my God, did you see this? My God, did you see this? So I think that's either Christmas. Next week or the week after. Right. Yes, it is Christmas for us.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, that wraps up the show for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, go out and like our page. Go out and give us a comment. Just give us some love.
Just send us some money.
Money. Yeah. We're good with that. All right. I'm Sean Pierce.
And I'm Sean Kelly.
Let your week be a good week until next week.